Hello everyone, Andy Withers and Michael Wise for ESPN Footy Tips. Looking forward to AFL Round 1. Mike, we're finally here. The phony war of the NAB Challenge is over. We've had to wait a little bit longer for the season kick-off for Cricket World Cup. How do we think we're going to go this year?
Oh look, thank God the footy's back. We're going to kick off with an absolute blockbuster on Thursday night. So look, all the hit and giggle of the NAB Cup's all over, and it's time to get started.
Yeah, you've mentioned that opening game, Carlton against Richmond at the G on Thursday. Interesting contest. Carlton obviously not where they thought they would be when they appointed Mick Malthouse a couple of years. Richmond, up and down season last year, finished really strong to make the finals.
Yeah, look, it's time for the Tigers to really step up and make that the potential for the last couple of years really shine through and make a strong statement on Thursday night. Carlton are sort of in the same boat where they brought in Mick Malthouse to be a finals contender, and they've both sort of just been a little bit off the pace. So I know it's round one, but this could be a really good statement for one of the teams.
Yeah,
in the season.
And Tigers, I think you're going for in this one?
Tigers, just because I think they've got more talent throughout the side. But look, this is one game that you don't want to be losing straight up for either team. Saturday,
we're back at the G, the opening game against the Demons, hosting the Suns. This is going to be it's another difficult season, one would think, for the Demons, and the Suns. They're really considered finals contenders now.
Absolutely, I think they're both on different ends of the sort of scale in terms of building towards a flag. So Melbourne Demons, they've brought in Paul Roos. This is going to be another year that's just slowly building the foundations for the club. Whereas the Suns, they've brought in Rodney Eade as coach, and that is to make them become a top 8 contender this year. So anything less than the finals for the Gold Coast Suns is going to be a disappointment.
And Gary Ablett, how key is he for the Suns?
Absolutely the most pivotal player in the game. I mean, any team that has Gary Ablett in it should be winning more than they're losing. So he will be absolutely vital for them this season.
One of the big games of this weekend, and they're all big really, Sydney Swans hosting Essendon at ANZ Stadium. It's been a big week for Essendon already.
It's been a very, very long summer for Essendon, so I think everyone's just going to be glad that they're getting back to football, especially the players. I think the Swans are just going to be too tough at home though.
Yeah, but Essendon, obviously they've had a kind of struggling pre-season, NAB Challenge. They couldn't play the players. How's that going to affect them against the Swans?
Oh look, I think they'll certainly be rusty. I think what the events of this week will probably lift them, but coming up against the Swans, who, even though they got trounced in the grand final last year, they'll be hungry to make a statement as well. So I think it's just going to be too hard and too tough for Essendon at the start.
And Buddy Franklin expected to play, I believe, for the Swans.
Absolutely, no issues with his concussion.
Now, Brisbane Lions against Collingwood up at the Gabba. You were quite impressed with the Lions last year, and I think you think they're going to make a winning start to the season.
Absolutely. I think the Lions, they play a really exciting brand of football. Lots of run through the midfield, lots of young players, and they've recruited Collingwood's Dane Beam, so they just added a little bit of class to the midfield as well. So it'll be really interesting to see how they do against Collingwood.
Yeah, and Collingwood, they've recruited my favourite player in the competition, Travis Varco, so they may even become my team, I guess. It's finishing up on Saturday, Western Bulldogs against the West Coast Eagles at Etihad Stadium. West Coast were slightly down below par last year. They were expected to make a really strong push for the grand final.
Yeah, didn't get there. They were expected to be one of the more stronger sides of the competition, and never really showed the true talents that they have. I think it's going to be another struggle for them this season, and even though they're probably favourites for the Bulldogs game, I'm going to tip the Bulldogs at home. Certainly there's going to be an upset this round, and I think the Bulldogs will be the ones that do it.
Easter Sunday, we're kicking off with St Kilda against the Giants back at Etihad Stadium. Anytime you're outsiders at home to the Giants suggests that's going to be a long season for Saints.
Yeah, absolutely. Outside of Nick Riewoldt, I don't see any sort of A-grade players at the Saints this year. And look, if they're going to lose to the Giants as expected on Sunday, it could be certainly a long season for the Saints.
And the Giants, they improved from 1 win in their debut season to 6 last year. Great progress. You expecting similar progress again this year?
Yeah, absolutely. They've recruited well in the off-season, plus all the junior players, that core that they're building for a flag, hopefully, potentially in a couple of years. they're expected to make the step up, and I think they'll be a really strong side across the board this year.
And we're looking forward to Jeremy Cameron to make kick another bag of goals, I guess.
Absolutely, I think he was a little bit less down on his debut year, but another pre-season under his belt, he's going to come back bigger and stronger, and I'd expect him to be up in the race with the Coleman this year.
Yeah. Adelaide Crows at home to North Melbourne in Adelaide. Now, there's a great stat here that Brad Scott, the coach of the Kangaroos, hasn't won a game in round one in charge of the blue and white. So you would think certain win for the Crows.
Look, this is also going to be a really good game because the Crows and the Kangaroos have always been in and around the top 8, the top 4 the last couple of years. It's time now for one of the teams to actually make their mark on the competition and really push on to the elite club sides. I'm tipping the Adelaide Crows at home. I mean, they've got a fantastic ground there that is just becoming a fortress for them. And again, if Brad Scott can't win the first round, I think it's going to be pretty tough for the Kangaroos.
And a new coach as well with Adelaide, so perhaps a slightly different method of play?
Look, a fresh approach, and Tex Walker with a proper pre-season under his belt, it's going to be a formidable Crows outfit.
Yeah. Easter Sunday, it finishes over in the west with Fremantle hosting Port Adelaide at Domain Stadium. This is going to be a real cracking game.
Oh, absolutely. Freo are one of those teams where their premiership window has been open for a few years now, and look, if 2015 isn't it, I'm worried that they won't do it.
Yeah, and obviously made the grand final a couple of years ago. Port were within touching distance of it last season.
Yeah.
Port, potentially, they're one of the big flag contenders this year,
look,
I think.
Ken Hinkley has Port trained absolutely perfectly of how they want to play. The addition of Paddy Ryder in the ruck and down forward is going to just add that extra dimension for them. They're going to be excellent this year, but it's going to be tough to face Fremantle first up in the West Coast.
And round one, we finished back at the G, Hawthorn at home to Geelong. Now, these two teams have developed a little bit of a rivalry. Hawthorn, the reigning premiers, going for a three-peat. They're back-to-back champions. Do you think they can go for that three-peat? They'll win it, and who's going to win this game?
Look, I think Hawthorn are certainly the team to beat this year. They've just got class throughout the side, and adding Frawley at the back now, it's just going to be even more tougher to beat the Hawks. If anyone can beat them, though, it's Geelong. Certainly within the rounds as well, maybe not in the finals these days. But look, it's always going to be a cracker, and I think the record between these two teams in terms of the closeness of the game stretches back for 4 or 5 years now, and it's been within 2 kicks every time.
So just recapping your tips then, Mike, for AFL round one, we're going for Richmond, Gold Coast Suns, Sydney Swans, Brisbane Lions, Western Bulldogs, Greater Western Sydney Giants, the Crows at home, Fremantle, and finishing off with Hawthorn to beat Geelong. That's it for round one. Thanks for your time, Mike. Looking forward to a great weekend's footy, and we'll be back again next week with round two.
Bring it on.